For front planks, we're gonna set up on our forearms and our toes to make a straight line through our entire body while using our abs and using our glutes to maintain that straight line. We don't want anything to relax during our front plank. So I've got my forearms on the ground. I'm gonna dig in my toes. I'm gonna squeeze my fist tight, make a double chin. This is gonna lock in my upper body, so I don't wanna have my head poking forward or my shoulders drooping. So I try to get as far away from the floor of my face as I can. Then I'm digging my toes in, I'm squeezing my glutes to lock in my lower body, and then my abs are gonna pull it all together. I wanna brace really hard as if somebody's gonna punch me in the stomach. And then I'm gonna use my breathing in through my nose and exhaling hard through my mouth like I'm blowing up a balloon to make the rep even more intense. You can see I'm shaking a little bit as I do that. So you don't want to just passively hold your planks for time. You want to use your breathing to dictate the difficulty. So in through my nose, out through my mouth, which is going to make my abs work really, really hard because my core muscles are what help push air out of my lungs. All right, so a couple of common mistakes we see with the front plank. We already talked about the head poking forward, but the other most common one we see is the hips dropping like that. If your hips are falling towards the floor, that means my abs are totally out to lunch, not doing what they're meant to do, and my lower back is the thing holding me in place. So I wanna make sure my hips are up a little bit, so I have a straight line from head to toe, then squeeze my butt and brace my abs, and those two things are gonna lock my hips into place. So if regular front planks on the floor are a little bit too challenging for you at the moment, you have two options. You could start with a high plank position. So that's simply holding the top of a push-up, which is going to give you a little bit more support, but all the same things apply. Don't let your head poke forward. Don't let your hips drop. Or you could plank on your forearms on an elevated surface like this bench right here. So I would set up the exact same way. Forearms on the bench, dig my toes in, breathing in and out without letting my hips fall. So those are your options if a front plank is a little bit too difficult. If you want to make the front plank more difficult, rather than just holding it for a longer amount of time, you can do a couple things to make it more challenging. The first thing that you can do is take away points of stability, most notably your feet. So if you're doing a regular front plank, you can simply hover one foot off the ground and turn it into a one-leg front plank. As you do this, the temptation is going to be, again, for your hips to drop or for your hips to roll towards the support leg. So you have to maintain that same exact position, but just with one less point of contact. If you want to make the plank difficult further still, you can use what's called an increase in lever length. So normally when we have our forearms on the ground, our elbows are right under our shoulders, but if we move our elbows in front of our body more, the plank gets much more difficult. So regular front plank here. I want to make things way tougher, turn it into a long lever front plank. I just walk my forearms out a little bit further so my elbows are in front of my shoulders, and now this is a much more difficult movement. The more challenging you want it to be, the further away you get, like so. All right, so there you have the front plank, ways to make it easier if you're not ready for a regular front plank, and then ways to make it harder if you've already mastered the standard front plank.